Welcome back to Awesome Possum Hobbies and Games, and it is my favorite day of the week. This is Chris, and I got my TCG player mail order in. Let's go ahead and open it up, check it out, and see if it completes the deck I started a couple weeks ago. Let's go. So here we are with another TCG player order. So these are all going to be from the newest set, Outlaws at Thunder Junction, and also some other sets at the very end. All of them are going to be standard legal, so I would check them out. Well, not all of them. Some of them are going to be for the commander, but I'll touch on those here when I go through. So first one is Annie Joins Up. I got this specifically for a legendary deck. One white, one green, one red, one colorless legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target creature or a planeswalker an opponent controls. If a triggered ability of a legendary creature you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Fantastic for any kind of legendary deck. I have a specifically all legendary creatures deck. This is going to go straight into, and it's going to be a great addition because it's going to do damage to something, and then on top of that, it's going to have additional triggers. Yes, please, sign me up. Next one's Vraska Joins Up. Another one that fits right in with the Annie Joins Up. It's one green, one black, legendary enchantment. When this card enters the battlefield, put Death Touch counter on each creature you control. Whenever a legendary creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you can draw a card. This card is nuts in that deck. All legends, yep, all legends all the time. This guy is just going to do an amazing amount of work drawing you a ton of cards, as well as making your creatures not as attractive to be able to block, on those mana dorks, to be able to get those more expensive legendary creatures in play. Make it so, oh yeah, I'm just going to go in there, do some damage, commit some, you're not committing crimes with that, but you're able to draw some cards with those cheaper legends when they start hitting your opponents. Next one is Kellen Joins Up. One green, one white, one blue. Legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your hand. If you do, it becomes plotted. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So it's great for if you have Vraska Joins Up, you happen to have that draw on your third turn, you're able to play that Kellen Joins Up. Next turn, the Vraska Joins Up will come into play from Plotted, and then whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under control, you get to put +1/+1 counter on each of the creature you control. So it's a great addition to a legendary creature deck. Yes, legendary creatures are not end-all be-all, but you know what? They're a lot of fun to play with. Free Strider, look out, one green, two colorless. This card's starting to see some increasing in pricing, which is cool. I think it's a good card. For a green, two generic, it's a 3/3 creature human rogue with reach. Whenever you commit a crime, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto your battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order, and this ability only triggers once each turn. Yes, it only triggers once each turn, but it is a 3/3 for 3. And it has reach, and then also, whenever you commit a crime, target your opponent's stuff, target your opponent, or target one of the cards in their graveyard, that's all committing a crime. So, it's easy to go off, and then you're able to go and look at the top 5 cards of your deck and start putting lands into play once per turn. Yeah, you could do it on your turn, you could do it on your opponent's turn, you could do it anytime you want, and just once per turn, you're able to get extra lands into play. But if you go through and happen to have something in play that has a tap effect that creates that committing a crime on play, when you play them on third turn, you're able to get a 4th land. And then on your opponent's turn, if you have extra mana, you have fifth land, and then so on and so forth. And it really just steamrolls. This guy is, I think, still undervalued for what he is. So if you have a chance, go out and pick him up while you can before they get expensive. Next one is Colossal Rattleworm. 2 green, 2 colorless. It's a 6/5 creature worm. Has flash as long as you control a desert. Has trample. 1 green, 1 colorless. Exile it from your graveyard. Search your library for a desert card. Put it on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle for a 6/5 for 4 is good. It's very good. Yes, it dies removal. Everything dies to removal, except for stuff that has hexproof or indestructible. But those cards are very few and far in between, and this guy has some amazing stats. And then if someone actually kills it, you're able to go through, and if you have deserts in your deck, you're able to get some extra ramp. I think this guy is good. I think it's going to be an unsung hero in a few different decks. Will it see standard play? You know, it's still too easy to see. I haven't seen anyone play it yet because there are some other cards that are good. And of course, with standard being the way it is, we haven't seen anything rotate out. So if you're playing on Arena, you know, 60% of the time you're playing against RDW, and that is not fun. So I'm just buying this because I want to throw it in a desert deck. Stoic Sphinx. This is speculation from my side. It's not worth jack right now. Two blue, 2 colorless. It's a 5/3 creature Sphinx with flash and flying, and it has hexproof as long as you haven't cast a spell this turn. So it's great to flash it in on your opponent's turn, and then on your turn, you're able to attack with it for 5. And then if you haven't cast a spell yet this turn, it has hexproof, so it makes it so people can't target it. If you haven't countered anyone's spell yet, it is an amazing addition to many decks. I actually bought a play set hoping that it will be good. Not now, not a year from now, but 2 years from now, because right now, standard rotation being 3 years is ridiculous. I'll say it again, I'm not a fan. So, 5/3 for 4, flying flash, and has hexproof. I think it might be good in the future. You know, unless power creep just jumps up significantly. This guy has some legs, or I should say wings. Next card is Harvester of Misery. 2 black, 3 generic, 5/4 creature spirit. When it enters the battlefield, other creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, so that includes your creatures. But you can also pay a black and 1 colorless. Discard it. Target creature gets -2/-2 till end of turn. This card does a lot of work. Comes into play, it's going to do a small board wipe for all the small creatures there. Includes your stuff, which is, if you plan around it, it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, you could discard it from your hand to make something get -2/-2 until end of turn. I think that's kind of bonkers. I think this card's kind of undervalued at the moment, but we'll see. Next one is Omnipath Journey. Yes, 1 green, 3 generic. It's enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 5 land cards, and then that have different names, and then exile them. Then shuffle. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card at random with exile with Omnipath Journey, and put it on the battlefield tapped. So the lands matters deck. My Windgrace, Lord Windgrace deck is gonna wants to have this. Will it see play? I don't know if it's going to make it into decks. I certainly don't want to go through and exile my favorite cards just for someone to say, oh, look, I want to disenchant that. Make it so all the best lands in my deck go away and can never come back again. But at the same time, I want to go through and go get just a bunch of lands, making it so my next few draws are not going to be, well, you know, you're decreasing the chances of drawing lands later on, and then at the end of each of those turns, you're able to go through and just put a random land into play. I think this, like, for face value, is a really solid card. Just don't go get your best lands, because you're gonna end up regretting the day that you go through and do that, and you're like, oh, my favorite lands are all gone. Next card. So that's the end of the that's the end of OTJ. Next is, these are all going to be cards that are currently relevant or handy in standard. So first one's Werefox Bodyguard. 2 white, 1 colorless. It's a 2/2 flash creature, elf fox knight, and when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target non-fox creature until Werefox Bodyguard leaves the battlefield. And, you know, you're able to get rid of opponent's creatures, which is great. And then on top of that, you can pay a white and a generic, sacrifice this card, you gain 2 life. So if someone's going to go through and target it to try to get their creature back, you can at least get 2 life for it. It's a great 3-drop for a 2/2 with flash. And you're able to, when someone's attacking, you're able to get rid of one of their best creatures, as long as it's not a fox. I think it's great. I got a couple. I got 3 of them. I think it's a good buy right now for, I believe I got 3 of those for $1. It's not bad. I believe you can get them for even cheaper than that right now on TCG Player. Next one is Regal Bunny Cord. For a white and generic, it is a star creature, rabbit unicorn. Has power and toughness are each equal to the number of permanent cards that you control, or non-land permanent cards you control. So if you have 10 creatures on the board, or 5 creatures on the board, or 5 creatures, it's a 5/5 creature. It's not bad for 2 mana. I got a couple of them. I can't wait to throw them in a deck. Overall, not a bad guy. Cemetery Desecrator. This is a full version, pre-release, 2 black, 4 colorless, 4/4 creature zombie with menace. And as a battlefield or dies, exile another card from a graveyard. When you do, choose 1. Remove X counters from target permanent. So if it happens to be a planeswalker in play or something that has a countdown on it, it's a great way to remove counters from some things. Or target creature and opponent controls gets -X/-X on a turn, where X is the mana value of the exile card. So you're able to go through and kill something big. If you just happen to have something that has 4, 5, 6, or even 7 in casting costs in your graveyard, that this guy goes through and just completely dominates. It kills creatures. It gets rid of battle cards. It goes through and excuse me, and does a lot of work. And then if someone just goes, oh, I'll kill it once it, or it had the enter the battlefield ability, and then they try to kill it, it's going to happen again. And it doesn't necessarily just get rid of cards from your graveyard to activate the ability. It gets rid of the best card in a graveyard for if your opponent has any cards in their graveyard as well. So this guy is just monstrous. This guy has been a staple in Standard. I got this version for my zombie deck for my EDH. Next one is a Welcoming Vampire. Welcoming Vampire is a white, a 2 generic for 2/3 flying. Whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, you draw a card. Its ability only triggers once each turn. It only happens once each turn, but if it happens to stay in play for 1 or 2 or 3 turns, it's going to do some work. It's going to draw you some cards on top of it. It's a 2/3 body. It's a vampire. I got it specifically for my vampire deck, because who doesn't want to have a vampire that, when it comes into play, you get to draw a card anyways. When you have another vampire come into play, it's gonna. If you have Edward Markov as your commander, you can draw another card. Doesn't matter the size of the vampire, because that token comes into play, and you get to draw a card because it's only a 1/1 token. There's all kinds of ways of making this card fantastic, and it is already great in a vampire deck, or a token deck, or a weenie deck, or the list goes on and on and on. So I need to pick up another copy. I picked up this copy specifically because it is the showcase variant. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. There's a lot of great cards out there. Check out TCG Player or any of your other online retailers if you don't have a local retailer to go to. Of course, I suggest everyone to go to their local game store to pick up their singles. You're not necessarily going to find the best deal, but if you're going to end up having to pay that extra charge, here in Colorado, we have to pay 29 cents per online order. And then in addition to that, we have to pay shipping and handling. So adds up. You might find a better deal just buying at your local game store. Well, until next time, have a great day, and remember to keep it rolling. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please take the time to like the video and subscribe if you'd like to stay updated. Have a great day, and keep them rolling.